Good morning and happy Grandparents' Day. So here we are. We are beginning the last topic of our planned series. Well, the last topic of this planned series anyway, because remember, we have a whole new set starting 6 weeks from now. So there's 5 weeks each of overcoming fear, then working through and eliminating guilt and shame. There's a slash between those, but guilt/shame. Learning to trust, then we're moving into surrendering, and finally awakening. So we've got quite a challenging, transformative path ahead of us for the rest of the year, don't we? I'm excited to see where it leads us. So this is the first talk on the forgiveness series, and we're all ready to embark on this journey together, aren't we? Yeah, we've learned exactly how to find and step into the present moment at any time. We've got our feet firmly rooted in the now. We've learned that, like it or not, everything really is perfect all the time, and our opinion doesn't change that one bit. That our judgment only serves to make us uncomfortable, which we then turn on those around us to make them uncomfortable. And we know that that's not getting us anywhere, so we have suspended judgment altogether and forever. And now we've learned that the me we've been believing we are is nothing but a mask. That who we really are is a beautiful and necessary piece of all that is. And we've decided to help ourselves remember that by getting rid of all the awful stuff our egos have been telling us about ourselves and turning inward, looking at that innocent id presence inside us and feeding it with joy and wonder. And since we're not looking back in the past that's already happened, or into the future which may or may not happen, and we're totally good with everything going on around us, and we're fully enrobed in the real us, the fake us ego made us think we are no longer has any reason to forgive, right? What I'm saying is, if all of that stuff that needed forgiving is in the past which we've let go, then it's not bugging any of us. And because it's in the past not bugging us, we can't even begin to judge it and label anything with those little tags we used to put on things like resentment and devastation and revenge and maybe even broken. And because we know that what we've been working so hard to convince the world we are isn't real, we can no longer relate to or understand what the words on those little tags we used to put on things, what they even mean. We got rid of all those lies our egos have been telling us all these years just last week, right? And so forgiveness was instantaneous for all of us after those talks, right? Yeah, we can walk out of here right this moment knowing that we aren't holding on to even one single bit of hurt anymore, right? Or am I at least a little bit wrong? Yeah, I'm probably wrong. Actually, I'm confidently wrong. That is a sentence I never thought I would say. I am confidently wrong. But now that I have, I kind of like it. I can be confidently wrong, and it feels good. Own that phrase. Use it this week. I dare you. I can, in this very moment, tell you with absolute confidence that I also don't really know where to begin with this forgiveness thing I'm supposed to be teaching. Because there's forgiveness of ourselves and forgiveness of others, forgiveness of traumas, forgiveness of events and circumstances around us, forgiveness of words and deeds, forgiveness of a lack of words or deeds, forgiveness of thoughts. And there's that big, humongous one which holds so many people in terror, the forgiveness of God. Which, if you remember Ernest Holmes' last sentence in our inspirational reading, you know isn't necessary. That Jesus was able to declare the things he did because he knows God is only love. That the divine mind is too pure to behold evil and knows nothing about sin. And if the mind of God knows no sin, how can anything be held against us as a sin except by us? But even when we know this, it doesn't do a bit of good unless we realize it within our lives. It's one thing to know that something is true. It's entirely another to accept it as true when we apply it to ourselves and our experience. But see, the thing is, I have to choose only one area of forgiveness to talk about today. And all of the other types I listed have to be covered before I can even start working on that last one. The more I try to figure out which of those other areas of forgiveness needs the most attention, the more unclear it all becomes. So please, forgive me if I don't touch upon the thing you think you most need. Talk to me so I know you need it. Then I can help with that. But for today, I'll share with you what happened when I did my little book trick. If you're new and you don't know what that trick is, ask someone, they'll tell you. I'm known for it. Along with the 20 or so volumes I regularly use, I have 5 books dedicated to forgiveness sitting on my dining room bookshelf table. And 2 of those books are entirely new to me. And what I'm about to share with you comes from the introduction to one of those. It's called Forgiving What You Can't Forget by Lisa TerKeurst. And I was very surprised that when I did my book thing, my fingers wanted to stop almost right at the beginning, twice. I don't know if I've ever stopped right in the beginning of a book, much less quoted from the introduction to a book before, but this really does cut right to the quick of things. The reason we're all gathered here seeking more forgiveness in our lives. The intro is titled, I Still Cry Over What Happened. That right there strikes a chord of familiarity in us, doesn't it? She says, do you ever find yourself defining life by before and after deep hurt? The horrific season, the conversation that stunned you, the shocking day of discovery, the stunning call about the accident, the wrongful death so unfathomable that you still can't believe they're gone, the malpractice, the breakup, the day your friend walked away, the hateful conversation, the remark that seems to now be branded on your soul, the taking of something that should have been yours, the brutality unleashed on the one you love, the manipulation, the violation, the false accusation, the theft, the firing, the day everything changed. That marked moment in time, like your own personal BC and AD, which usually mean before Christ and Anno Domini, that's Latin for the year of our Lord. This dating was intended to indicate a turning point in history, the birth, life, death, and resurrection of Jesus. When we have personal marked moments in our own history, BC and AD can feel more like before crisis and after devastation. It's a line in time, one that is so sharply drawn across your reality, it not only divides your life, it splits open your memory bank and defiles it. Life before, life now. Some part of what you loved about your life exploded in that moment and marked you with this unwanted reference point of before and after. And maybe it seems like you think of what happened all the time. Or at least so much of the time you wonder if you'll ever stop having that deep, aching, off-kilter feeling. People are all around you at work, in the coffee shop, at your kids' school, and even at church, just trying to live their lives, completely unaware that at any moment there could be a triggered memory so painful you'll feel as though the room has no more oxygen to breathe. But friend, can I whisper something I'm learning? Staying here, blaming them, and forever defining your life by what they did will only increase the pain. Worse, it'll keep projecting out onto others. The more our pain consumes us, the more it will control us. And sadly, it's those who least deserve to be hurt whom our unresolved pain will hurt the most. That person or people in your past, they've caused enough pain for you, for me, and for those around us. There's been enough damage done. They have taken enough. You don't have to hand over what was precious and priceless to you and deem all your memories as hurtful. You get to decide how you'll move forward. Your life can be a graceful combination of beautiful and painful. You don't have to put either definitive label on what once was. It can be both and. That was all from her introduction. Wow, right? And reading that got me thinking about a lot of things. First, I thought to myself, are you really sure that you want to get people poking around inside at all of their hurty bits? Because we're trying to grow this church, not send folks away in tears. And then I thought, but I'm not in charge of this. I'm not the one who decides what I'm supposed to be teaching up here. I follow where I'm led, and I trust that. And my final thought was, I better buy a lot more Kleenex for the pews. Because forgiveness isn't just about erasing a debt. Is that one empty or are we good? Okay. Forgiveness isn't just about erasing a debt. It's about healing the pain that led to that event being burned into the core of you so deeply that it stopped you from moving past it. We have to pry that pain out, expose the hurt, then fill the space it leaves behind with peace, with love, and yes, with gratitude. Last night, I sat still and quietly for a while, and you know how difficult still and quiet can be for me. So you know this was important. I was trying to find a way to lead you to the place where I stand, where forgiveness is a choice and I can just let go of things immediately, but I don't remember how I got here. And so I asked for a baby step, something simple to get the ball rolling on this forgiveness thing, something to ease y'all into things so that nobody's overwhelmed right out of the starting gate. I asked, and I didn't hear a reply, sitting there all quiet. And the quiet was getting loud and fidgety, so I started flipping through those beloved books again, and there it was, the key that I needed. This is the other new book, and it's called 12 Ways Forgiveness Will Change Everything by Dr. Alan Hunt. In the second chapter, he talks about training ourselves to forgive the big things. And he says that the best way to do that is to start to forgive the little things. And I mean the little teeny itty bitty annoyances that we're surrounded by every day. People are, for the most part, human. You know that, right? And as such, we are wonderfully, perfectly, sometimes annoying. We make small mistakes when we're careless. We can do a dozen bumbling, thoughtless things a day without even realizing it. And so can everyone else. Let's get comfortable with that first. We're all annoying to others sometimes. And we can all feel annoyed by others. Maybe that'll help us get to the letting go part. If we own that we maybe sort of kind of probably are annoying at least a couple of people, someone's very regularly, maybe it'll help us to let go a little more easily when it comes to those moments when we're the ones feeling annoyed. I mean, we want people to forgive us for being annoying, right? So why would we withhold forgiveness from other equally bumbling, unintentionally annoying people? We first learn to forgive by forgiving the little things. On page 18, he says, before we can be capable of forgiving the deepest of wounds, we need to master forgiving the little things, the petty annoyances and irritating habits of the people around us. When we become good at forgiving these little things, it becomes much easier to forgive the larger wounds and disappointments. A good reason to learn to forgive the little things is that if you're not careful, tiny annoyances can build up inside you like a pressure cooker until one day either A, you explode in volcanic anger from all the petty grievances crammed tightly inside of you, or B, you find yourself completely unable to be around someone because they irritate you so much. Do we know anyone who falls victim to those types of pressure releasers? I can think of a couple. What do we do instead? He answers that with a story. A woman by the name of Teresa found a powerful way to forgive the little things. She lived in a large house with a group of women. These women did virtually everything together. They prayed together. They laughed and cried together. They ate together. And all that togetherness was just a whole lot of, well, together. When you spend that much time with the same people in the same space, it's almost inevitable that one of those people will begin to get on your nerves. Day in and day out, a little annoyance can burn inside you like a fuse on a stick of dynamite. The little things build up and become big things. They'll make your skin crawl, your mind race, your temper burn, if you don't learn to forgive the simple things. So Teresa found a solution to her situation. In her community of women, she had one colleague who simply got on her nerves every single day, whenever they were together. Here, in her own words, is how Teresa learned to forgive the little things. There is in the community a sister who has the faculty of displeasing me in everything. In her ways, her word, her character, everything seems disagreeable to me, and still, she must be very pleasing to God. Not wishing to give in to the natural antipathy I was experiencing, I told myself that charity must not consist in feelings but in works. Then I set myself to doing for this sister what I would do for the person I loved most. Each time I met her, I prayed to God for her, offering him all of the virtues and merits. I felt this was pleasing to Jesus, for there is no artist who doesn't love to receive praise for his works, and Jesus, the artist of all souls, is happy when we admire its beauty. I wasn't content simply with praying very much for this sister who gave me so many struggles, but I took care to render her all the services possible. One day at recreation, she asked in almost these words, "Would you tell me, Sister Therese, what attracts you so much toward me? Every time you look at me, I see you smile." What attracted me was Jesus hidden in the depths of her soul, Jesus who makes sweet what is most bitter. I answered that I was smiling because I was happy to see her. So how did Teresa do it? She turned the tables. Instead of little annoyances to be harbored, she discovered little opportunities to serve her religious sister. She smiled rather than winced each time she met her. She said a prayer of gratitude when she saw her. She served her with gladness when the opportunity presented itself. In short, Teresa turned her irritation into action. She learned to move from petty annoyance to humble love. Forgiveness then became easy, and Teresa mastered the little things. You remember the Bible story. In this Bible study, gosh, I can't say it. It's a story, not a study. It's a story. It's the Bible story. Okay? Golly jeepers. Jesus and his disciples are walking along the side of the road. Maybe I should study the Bible more. What do you think? They're walking along the side of the road, and Peter comes up and he says, "Hey, Jesus, if one of my brothers hurts me, how many times do I have to forgive him? 7?" Peter then swells with pride, very impressed with himself at the thought of forgiving someone 7 times for the same thing. After all, that's a lot of forgiving, right? Jesus responds carefully. He looks at Peter and says, "No, not 7. Try 70 times 7. 70 times 7, 490 times? Really? Wow. Jesus was an extremist, and I know that's unpopular to say, but yes, when it comes to forgiveness, Jesus was an extremist. You and I desperately need to hear that. Put down your duffel bag full of grudges and insecurities. Put down your desire to pronounce judgment in your court of rights and wrongs and forgive. It works. There was a study which encouraged struggling couples to create a gratitude journal in which they were to write down 3 things each day about their partner that they were grateful for. The purpose was to turn their attention from irritation to gratitude in the littlest of things. When they intentionally focused on gratitude, 8 out of 10 couples experienced significant improvement. They moved from petty annoyances and "you're so on my nerves" to finding appreciation and love. The simple choice of gratitude can turn the tables. It works. It's about the little things. And those little things fade away when you make the conscious decision to be grateful and to serve someone rather than obsess and fixate on their flaws. Maybe that's why Teresa became Saint Therese of Lisieux, or as most of us know her, Mother Teresa. She discovered that the secret to the big things is to consistently master the little things, and that's totally doable. This is a first gentle step into learning forgiveness. I meant for today to be gentle because I know last week's talk on ego was a lot. So I didn't want to shake things up too vigorously this week. But for many of you in the next few weeks, the next steps may feel bigger and more challenging. And as you continue on this journey with me, some emotions that you've worked hard to avoid looking at may come forward. Let them. During one of our Wednesday night services, one person said, "In my spiritual journey, I've found that often the most significant change comes through crying." And I have to say that I agree. Crying is about hurt, yes. Sadness, definitely, but it can also be about celebration. It can be a way to express relief. It can help you find joy. It can release the shackles of pain we've held ourselves captive in for far too long. And so perhaps knowing that this journey through forgiveness into love may bring tears is a good thing. Let those tears cleanse and heal. Let's march steadfastly onward together, tissues clenched in our fists if need be, and let the burden of pain be finally untethered from our souls so that we can become free. Thank you.